To accept responsibility for your actions isn't a duty you owe to others, isn't something imposed on you from above. It's logically required by the principle of loyalty to your own values and to the principle that you don't attempt to defy the facts of reality or to go outside reality or to place your desires beyond the reach of reality. If you want a certain kind of career, then you have the moral responsibility to work to achieve it. If you choose to have children, then you have the moral responsibility to support and educate them. But there can be no unchosen duties, and no duties which demand the sacrifice of your rational self-interest. The man who would protest that it is not to his self-interest to assume responsibility for the consequences of his actions is announcing that he intends to perform irrational actions. But that isn't to his self-interest. You see, and this is a very important point, Objectivism would never see integrity as some sort of self-sacrifice or resisting of temptation. But if a morality is placed in opposition to human nature and to life on earth, men will necessarily see integrity in terms of self-sacrifice and a struggle with temptation. They'll have to struggle against the sin of wanting to live and to be happy. A rational code of values teaches man that evil means pain and destruction, and that isn't a temptation. One of the simplest and yet most eloquent ways to understand the difference between our approach to this issue, our perspective, and the perspective of conventional morality, and an eloquent proof of the bankruptcy of conventional morality may be observed at any magazine stand. You all know the popularity of the brightly colored magazines with pictures of beautiful girls and promises of the forbidden pleasure. Well, very significantly and very typically, one such magazine is, or rather was, because I think it's now gone out of business, called Satan. I don't think it's around anymore. Well, pause on the implications of this. Here you're offered a magazine with beautiful girls in it, some kind of humor or presumably entertainment, a value, and it's called Satan. Well, imagine the following. If you walked into a store in Atlantis, do you think that you'd be offered this kind of a magazine furtively under the counter entitled Wesley Mouch? Do you think that you would see something intended to be attractive to you, something offering you pleasure, excitement, glamour, romance, entitled Wesley Mouch? That's the difference between the conventional view of good and evil and ours. We'll take a break here for 10 minutes before continuing. Now, to continue our discussion. The essence of independence is, my mind is the only judge of reality. The essence of integrity is, I hold a judgment of my mind above all else. The essence of honesty is, I do not sacrifice my mind's judgment of reality for the sake of an illusion in the minds of others. If rationality consists of the recognition that existence exists, honesty consists of the recognition that only existence exists. That, quoting Galt, the unreal is unreal and can have no value. All acts of dishonesty, lying, cheating, fraud, are an attempt to obtain some value by means of faking reality, to obtain some value which, in fact, one has not earned and cannot justifiably claim. This is obvious in the case of financial fraud, but many people who are honest in financial matters do not hold the same standard in spiritual or intellectual matters, and do not hesitate to seek values by fraudulent means. Yet the principle is the same. If you gain love by faking your own character, by pretending to possess virtues which you do not possess, it is not you who are loved, but a fraudulent image which you have created in the mind of another person, and which in fact has no reality, no separate reality. If you gain fame, admiration, prestige for achievements which are not your own, like Peter Keating, or for faked achievements which do not exist at all, like a scientist who falsifies scientific data, or for achievements which you, by your own standards, do not regard as values, like any so-called box office chaser, in all such cases, the fame, admiration, or prestige are not real. They are merely an illusion, a false appraisal in the minds of other people. You wouldn't envy a paranoiac with delusions of grandeur who imagines himself to be a great man. And yet the existence to which you condemn yourself if you seek values by fraud is, in a sense, more unreal than his. He at least enjoys his own first-hand delusion, if you can call it enjoyment, while what you get is only a public delusion, second-hand. And the more you attempt to enjoy it, the worse your inner torture of fear, guilt, self-loathing. You are a great man in all eyes but your own, and that faked greatness for you works as a constant reminder of your own mediocrity, impotence, unworthiness. This is the penalty for that abject self-abasement which is implicit in the formula of every liar. Only I will know. Identify what that means. Only my mind will know the time of fraud. And of what importance is my mind? Only my judgment will call me a scoundrel. And what do I care about my judgment? My own knowledge, judgment, perception, evaluation are the most negligible of all and the most dispensable. Why should I consider the opinion of so insignificant a person as me? Is it any wonder that men who act on that formula are never able to achieve happiness, security, self-confidence, or self-esteem? Consider the monumental insult which a man pays to himself when he decides to fake his character or his actions in order to invoke a delusion in somebody else's consciousness, and to live with the inner knowledge of what his own state is. If such a man then runs to a psychiatrist moaning that he has no sense of personal identity and that he can't stand his chronic feeling of dissociation from existence, well, what identity and what sense of reality did he expect to possess